Number 40.
The first of our three debuts is the first top 40 hit for an act called All for One. It's their remake of a song that was a number one smash back in 1963 for the Times. This is So Much in Love.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem on Casey's Top 40. Well, now we're up to the second top 10 for the group All for One. A song they might never have recorded had two of them not worked as car mechanics. You see, before they became part of All for One, two of the members, Tony Barolak and Alfred Navarez, worked at a Ford dealership in the rural Antelope Valley area. It's about an hour north of Los Angeles, right next to Edwards Air Force Base, the place where the space shuttles land. Well, Tony and Alfred liked their work doing tune-ups and repairing transmissions, but they liked music even more. They sang in their spare time. And while they worked, they always had the radio on. Their big love was R&B, but the other mechanics liked country music, and so they were outvoted, and the radio stayed on a country station. Most of the time, Tony and Al didn't pay a lot of attention to the songs, but one day, as they were adjusting the valves on a Thunderbird, a song by country star John Michael Montgomery came on. Even though it was country, there was something about the sound that captivated the two music-loving mechanics, and right then and there they decided that if they ever took their music hobby professional, they'd record that song on their very first album. And wouldn't you know it, a year later, Tony and Alfred were part of the group All for One, and when they made their first album, they remembered the country song they loved and convinced the other members to record it. This week, that song moves up 9 big notches to number 9 on Casey's Top 40 to become their second top 10. Here's All for One and their remake of the John Michael Montgomery country song, I Swear.
I swear, by the moon and the stars and the skies.
American Top 40.
This is American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens, and I know you know that we're here, the number one song on radio across the USA. It's by a group of 4 guys who, I would say, definitely qualify for an overnight success. 2 huge hits right off the bat, So Much in Love, and now this song, instant fame. And we asked them what it's like.
How do you prepare for something like that? It still hasn't hit us. I wish it would. People are staring and asking for autographs and screaming. It's like, for me? You know, what did I do? You
start looking behind you.
I just went home a couple of days ago for a couple of days, and everywhere we went to a restaurant. My dad, do you know who you're waiting on? This is so-and-so. Went to rent a car, took my car back in. Do you know who's renting a car from you, don't you? This is so-and-so. It's like, Dad, stop, you know.
Enjoy it, guys. For a second week in a row, the number one song in America belongs to All for One. I swear.
I swear, like a shadow that's by your side. Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Well, now we're up to the huge number one smash, I Swear. It's by a group that swears that until recently, some of the members had never been in a plane. In fact, a couple of them knew so little about travel, they had their mothers do their packing for them. 3 of the 4 members of the vocal group All for One grew up in the rural community of Antelope Valley, about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles. They grew up as a bunch of kids who loved to listen to music and to make music of their own. Kids who worked in local garages and sang in local karaoke bars at night. In other words, they didn't spend much of their time jetting off to Paris and London. In fact, they didn't spend their time jetting anywhere. They say about the farthest they ever went was a trip down to L.A. for the day. But then they hit the charts with their top 10 remake of So Much in Love, and their simple lives changed fast. All of a sudden, they had to fly all over the place to perform and make personal appearances on radio and TV shows, and they found that traveling wasn't as easy as they thought. Not only were airports big, intimidating, chaotic places, but they also discovered that every time they'd go someplace, they'd forget a variety of things like extra socks, shirts, and pants. So some of the members of All for One started having their moms do the packing for them. But they do the singing themselves, singing that got them all the way to number 1 with this big hit. Survey song number 19 this week on Casey's Top 40. Here's All for One and I Swear.
For better or worse, till death do us part, I'll love you with every beat of my heart, and I swear.
This is the only official Billboard countdown non-stop to number one. Hi, it's Delius
and Alfred from All for One. More great music is coming this way on AT40, so don't you go away.
American Top 40. Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. And easing up a notch to number 3 on Casey's Top 40 is All for One, a group that's been thinking about Christmas all summer. You see, they've been in the studio recording a holiday album to be released later this year. This song is from their current album, and the music speaks. Here's All for One and I Can Love You Like That.
Everything that's precious to me, I can love you like
That's Jamie Jones, Alfred Navarez, Tony Borowiak, and Delius Kennedy. The group All for One and I Can Love You Like That. This week the song eases down a notch to number 5. And that means we've got 4 big hits to go on our way to number 1.
Counting them down with Casey Kasem. Casey's Top 40.
I'm David Perry, sitting in for Casey Kasem. These are the week's biggest hits from number 40 to number 1, and we're counting them down. Moving down 5 notches to number 28, here's All for One, a vocal quartet whose members say they grew up listening to music by acts like New Edition, Take 6, and Michael Jackson. Last year, the group put all those influences into their first 2 hits, So Much in Love and I Swear. Now you can also hear those influences on this song, I Can Love You Like That.
Count them down with Casey Kasem.
And tumbling 8 notches to number 36 on Casey's Top 40, here's All for One, a vocal quartet whose members got together after they'd been competing separately in various talent shows and karaoke contests throughout the West Coast. Not long after they got together, All for One scored 3 top 10 hits. This is their most recent top 10, I Can Love You Like That.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem, and easing down a single notch to number 39 on Casey's Top 40, here's All for One. The group recently performed live in New York City, but they weren't playing at a club or an arena. They played for a huge nationwide television audience as part of this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
American Top 20. Top 20.
I'm Casey Kasem on American Top 20. Now, what do stars like Boyz II Men, Seal, and Babyface do when their voices aren't working right? Well, they call on the man known as the Swami of Song, a man who builds voices the way athletes build muscles. His name is Gary Katana, and he's known as the toughest voice coach in Hollywood. Where most coaches give their clients exercises to help strengthen their vocal cords, Gary puts his people through a strenuous, even painful regimen that he calls voice building. He works like a personal trainer, pushing his clients to work their vocal muscles to their very limits. One of the singers he's worked with is Delius Kennedy from the group All for One. Delius says when he first went to Gary, the coach told him that he was going to, quote, rip me up. I said, rip who up? He had me doing these growling things that hurt, unquote. After the first day, Delius was hoarse. But after the 3rd day of exercises, his voice came back bigger and better than ever. Now, Delius does exercises while he's on tour that drive his group mates crazy. He says they tell him to, quote, stop it, you sound like a wounded moose. But they agree that his voice is stronger. Gary Katana works his magic using methods developed by legendary opera singers like Mario Lanza and Enrico Caruso. And he doesn't just help people like Grammy winner Toni Braxton sing stronger. A few years ago, when actor Jack Klugman lost a vocal cord to cancer, Gary helped him get his voice back. And that's our report on Gary Katana, Hollywood's Swami of Song. Now, on with the countdown.
The hits from coast to coast.